I was born right in the middle of all 10 of the children. My father immediately realized that I was not his. And so from inside the womb, I felt rejection immediately. Our home was a home that was extremely poor. They locked my father up in mental institutions, and he would come home and he would beat the children. I was the one who got the worst beating because he was aware of the fact that I was not his child. We were so hungry, ladies and gentlemen, that I used to go in garbage dumps and garbage cans and eat out of them because there wasn't enough food on the table. During the weekends, there was such brawls and fights because my parents were alcoholics that I remember at 5 years old washing blood off the walls. They'd take my dad off into the mental institution. He'd come home again. So all I knew was spiritualism, which my mother was very involved in. My dad's hate toward me. I remember one day I was a little girl and I made him a present for Father's Day because I didn't understand why he didn't like me. So I made him a little present. I was the only one who made him anything. And I took it to him. And I'll never forget it. I handed it to him. And I thought as a little girl at 7 years old, surely this present is going to make him love me because I had dealt with such terrible rejection. And I remember walking up and saying, "Daddy, Happy Father's Day." And I'd made this little present I put together with stuff out of garbage cans. And he looked at it and he said to me, "This is stupid and you're stupid." From that time, I didn't believe that God could possibly be a father. God's a father. Fathers beat you. Fathers molest you. Fathers hurt you. Fathers go to mental institutions. So I decided that I was going to find two things in life. The first thing I was going to find is love. The second thing was power. When I was just barely out of my teens, I became pregnant with my first child. When my mother found out I was pregnant, Dad was in the mental institution. She bodily removed me from the house. I was glad to get out. By the time my daughter was born and approximately 9 months old, the state of New York had taken her away. I never hurt her. I never did any harm. I changed her. I washed her. I just didn't know how to love her because I had never been loved. I didn't know what it meant to love or to receive love. So when they took her away, I was glad because now I was going to live my life my way. In the course of that time, I had an abortion. I'll never forget the day that I called my mother and I said, "I'm pregnant." And she said, "I'll send a woman to your house. She's a retired nurse. She'll give you an illegal abortion." The woman came and gave me an illegal abortion. I'll never forget, right then and there, something happened inside of me. After they took my child away, I went on a rampage of alcoholism and drug addiction. I ended up in New York City. While I was there, I contracted hepatitis B. That is a viral infection of the liver brought on by filthy needles. I'd been beaten in New York, sold to an ice cream man, walking the streets, locked up, let out. I landed up pregnant again, and when I became pregnant this time, my mother said, "When I see you, I'm going to kill you." So I said, "Don't bother," and I threw myself down 30 concrete steps in a suicide attempt to take the imposition out of my body. Folks, you know, you might hear this and say, "Gee, that's terrible." It's going on in your world right now. Our children are exposed to this. Our families are exposed to this. Let me move on quickly. After that, I decided, well, maybe if I get married, it'll get better. I'll get married and then everything will be all right. So I got married. We were shooting heroin and meth and everything I could get in my arm. And one day, a young woman said to me, "You know what you need? You need power." Well, I was looking for that. She said, "You need power in witchcraft." I began to study witchcraft. I learned how to do incantations and spells and bloodletting. Now, I wasn't into black magic and I didn't go to black masses. I was a renegade witch. But I studied. I gave everything to learning about witchcraft. I studied with everything in me. I could astral project. I remember soul transmission, moving from one place to another. Demonic activity. I used to meditate into a low state of meditation, alpha state, and invite spirits to live inside of me because I believed they were departed spirits of loved ones and they were going to do a good job inside of me. Found out later they were nothing more than demons. I began to scratch my physical body, do harm to myself because the spirits that gave me the power in psychic behavior that helped me to astral project, to know the past, present, and future through familiar spirits, to do incantations potions and spells. They turn on you. They get you right where they want you, and then they pull the legs out from under you. Here I was shooting heroin and married. We were beating each other up, tearing the place apart. And I became pregnant again. And this time I went to my husband. I said, I want this baby. He said, I ain't having no kids. When I get home from work, get something to get high on and get rid of that baby. I'll never forget the day in the abortion clinic, standing in a mirror, holding my stomach and saying, baby, I love you, but nobody else does, so you have to die. After that abortion, I went completely crazy. I began to shoot up. The worst junkies in the city wouldn't stay in the same room with me, in and out of nut houses. The marriage fell apart. We were beating each other, tearing at each other, fighting for drugs, ODing. My father, by this time, had died in a mental state, just absolutely crazy. I was afraid I'd go crazy, too. And one day, a phone call came. It was a doctor. He said, Carol has hepatitis B. Her liver is turning into a piece of leather. As I speak to you, she's in cirrhosis stage. She's mentally ill. There's no talking to her. As a matter of fact, I'm sending you a registered letter. Don't bring her in this office ever again. She's crazy. So when I got the death sentence, when they said to me, you're dying, I thought, you know what? Don't worry about it. So I'd walk around with guns in my mouth. I'd take cars. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the truth. I'd run them into walls. I'd drive them into Lake Erie. I'd deliberately hit telephone poles. I'd fall asleep at the wheel. I was digging in my arm with needles, screaming, cutting myself, chanting demonic powers. You know, we think demons are just on Friday night on the scary movies. They didn't go away when Jesus left. They are here. And they're out to kill, steal, and destroy. And in all of this, somebody one day saw me standing in a bar who saw past my faults to my needs. She came up and she said, I know a man who doesn't stick needles in your arm, perform abortion